And we begin this broadcast with breaking news coming in because amid growing fears of escalation in the Strait of Hormuz, the world's most critical oil choke point, India has now issued a strong and a direct message at the United Nations. So India's permanent representative to the United Nations, Parvataneni Harish, has said that targeting commercial shipping and impeding navigation in the Strait of Hormuz is unacceptable. So this is the strong message that is coming in from India, and it's a remark that's coming at a time when the region is witnessing tensions and threats to maritime security, and also there are fears of further disruption to global oil supplies. The Strait of Hormuz, viewers, like all of us know, is a narrow waterway between Iran and Oman, and it handles nearly 1/3 of the world's seaborne oil trade. So for India, this is not a distant conflict. India is also importing more than 85% of crude oil requirements, and a large chunk of that passes through the Strait of Hormuz. So that is why any blockade, any further attack on shipping or navigation disruption, if it continues, has a direct impact on India's energy security, and we are seeing the government also talk about it. For now, fuel prices have been hiked by 3 rupees, both petrol and diesel. Shipping costs and also the broader economy stands affected, and that is why this is Delhi's message, and this is a message that matters globally. India once again is making it clear that commercial vessels cannot become casualties of war, and that global trade routes cannot be held hostage to geopolitical conflicts. So if this flashpoint explodes further, is the world now prepared for larger economic aftershocks? And that's why India is putting its focus on sending out a message. It is absolutely clear. So going across to Mayank, Delhi has made its stand clear once again. Delhi is saying that commercial shipping cannot be targeted, and this is India making its position clear at the United Nations. There are implications that we are seeing that's playing out back home too. For the world too, it is watching the developments as they unfold. So Delhi making it clear, will this message resonate with the players who are involved in the conflict that's playing out?
Yeah, it needs to be seen because it holds a major significance in the term that not specifically India. Let's go to Asia, and the whole world is engulfed in a recession sort of a mode, and the cost of living in every sphere has risen, and energy security is at peril, or maybe has been in a way put at stake. And specifically for India, if you see, I mean, things are affected in a multi-layered manner in so many ways. So it is a very important message. Having said that, it is important to bring out. I mean, that's why India has taken this stand. Not only that, I mean, Strait of Hormuz specifically, because we need to talk about that, and it has affected the most. Specifically had been feeding India in terms of 1/5 of its portion of energy, which is 20% of its energy has been coming from that side. Not only that, the LNG, liquefied natural gas, the urea, can you imagine 70% of urea had been coming from that side. This is how Strait of Hormuz, if it is passage of safe passage of the vessels is concerned. And freedom of navigation in all the international waters has been part of the, international laws. So, I mean, these are the ways the messages have been put across by India to make it, sound in a critical manner.
Yes.
So we need to see the way how the things pan out, because as of now, Strait of Hormuz, things have been blockaded from two sides, which is US has naval blockade, and it talks about stopping any movement which is for or from ports to Iran. But
so
Iran
currently, Mayank, is
controlling
flagging threat to global shipping, and we are looking at the impact also play out back home. In the last few days, we've seen politics also play out over the hike in fuel prices that has come after more than 77 days of the war. I want you to stay with us. Let's talk about the significant intervention that has come in from India, because like we've been saying, the Strait of Hormuz is not just a regional waterway. It is one of the world's most critical energy routes, and nearly 1/3 of global seaborne oil trade passes through this narrow stretch. What did India say? What is the stand that India made clear at the UN? Let's listen in.
At the national level, a combination of short-term and structural measures are required. In the short term, India has focused on managing energy supplies through alternative sourcing and demand-side measures, cushioning households from price shocks, supporting critical sectors such as fertilizers and pharmaceuticals, and maintaining financial stability through proactive liquidity management. At the international level, cooperation is indispensable. targeting of commercial shipping, endangering civilian crew, impeding freedom of navigation in the Strait of Hormuz are unacceptable. International law in this regard must be fully respected.
So this is why Delhi has made its position clear at the UN, and the world is watching. We're talking about Brent crude prices and how they've been at more than $100 per barrel in the last few days itself. Before the war, the prices were on the 27th, that is one day before the war broke out, the prices were at 72.97. This is the prices of Brent crude per barrel. $72.97 per barrel, and now it's been more than 77 days of the war, and this is the cost that was as of 15th of May. It was above $106.83 per barrel, and that is why it's a concern. Back home, we've also been seeing how there has been politics that has been playing out over the hike in fuel prices. Now, let's talk about wholesale inflation. This is the impact of war, and there's been a spike in inflation. April 2025, it was 0.85%, and now in April 2026, wholesale inflation is at 8.3%, and that is why Delhi's message is resonating globally. Mayank, I want you to stay with us while we talk about the message India sent out on how disruption of shipping through the Strait of Hormuz is absolutely unacceptable. There is another layer to this story, and the spotlight always has been on Donald Trump. What did Donald Trump say? He has once again, let's shift our focus to what Donald Trump has said. He has once again shared an AI-generated image on social media. And this is an image that shows Donald Trump standing in front of warships in rough seas. And some of the ships appear to have Iran's flags on them. Let's put out that picture that Donald Trump has posted, because along with this very picture, yes, that is the picture on your screens, along with that picture comes the words. And what are those words? It was the calm before the storm. And every time Donald Trump says something, he puts out a message, it sends out, this is interpreted in multiple ways. What does the President of the United States mean when he says it was the calm before the storm? Is he hinting at possible strikes again? So this is a post that has come at a time when the focus is on what Donald Trump is going to do next. And we have our guest joining us on this broadcast, senior journalist and professor from New York. We have David Johnston joining us. Good morning, Mr. Johnston. I want to understand, what do you make of this post that has been put out by the President of the United States, the calm before the storm? What is he indicating?
Well, Donald is trying to sow more chaos and sound menacing and threatening, but the reality is that he does not have the military assets in place to take down the regime in Tehran. And no doubt American military planners, who are very good at what they do, told Trump that there's a reason that the previous presidents have rejected all suggestions of trying to overthrow the regime in Tehran. But of course, Donald, who I've known and covered for almost 40 years, Donald doesn't listen to anything he doesn't want to hear. He looks for affirmation of that which he believes is true, because he creates his own reality in his mind. And this late night, odd hour posting of messages on Truth Social, we now know, is facilitated by a woman at the White House who makes things up for Donald, presents them to him, and if he approves them, then they're posted, which explains why, by the way, the crazy spellings we used to see, like the famous Kofefi, no longer appear, and Donald's tweets are more cogent and focused than his own words.
There are reports that are suggesting that this is a post that's coming at a time when the United States is, mulling fresh strikes. And if fresh strikes happen once again, where will the world stand? The entire world is grappling with an energy crisis. There are questions that are being raised over for how long will this go on? When does the US want to put an end to this war? They are also putting the onus on Iran. I want you to stay with us, because let's also get in a response that's coming from Iran, because tensions may rise in the Gulf And Iran has also announced a new plan for the Strait of Hormuz. And that's our next piece of breaking news information that we have for our viewers. What did Iran say? So there is an MP from Iran, Ibrahim Azizi, who says that Iran is preparing a system to control ship movement in the Strait. And under this plan, only commercial ships and countries that work with Iran will be allowed easy access, while others may face restrictions. Iran also says that it will charge fees for services in this particular route. Mayank, my colleague, is also with us. Mayank, so for now, Iran is saying that, it will charge for services in the Strait of Hormuz. There will be easy access allowed only to those who work with Iran, and also only commercial ships and countries that work with Iran will be allowed this easy access. So Iran too is sending out a message. It seems to be unfazed by any kind of messaging that's coming in from the United States.
Yes, important point is actually it's a ceasefire. So, things are still nebulous, and they can take, sides, or things can change in a bit. And as the messaging has been already made out by the president of US. Now, significant part is actually we need to understand IRGC or Iran had announced that any ship which has to move to and fro from the site, it has to take permission from IRGC specifically, and there will be a corridor which has been chalked out or which has been created, and in that corridor only the vessels which will be allowed or given permissions will be moving. And significance, it has strategic significance because energy security of larger nations and across the globe has been affected because of the movement which has been blockaded, whether by US or by Iran. In this case, also understand the message and words which are coming out from the Iran side. They say that the regulation will still into the hands of Iran. And northern part of this narrow passage, which is Strait of Hormuz, it's a territorial waters of Iran. But then, the international laws in this area applies in a different manner. And freedom of passage, which is important, as India has also brought out. It has to be there because it is affecting the the energy security and fuel and energy aspects of larger nations, and specifically India also, because 20% of India's fuel, chemicals which are used for fertilizers, gas, has been coming from this side. So if you mix up all
Donald
those
Trump
things,
says, Mayank, that this is the calm before the storm, and Iran on its part is flexing muscle once again, trying to tell the world that it is the boss when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz, and Iran decides what is going to happen when it comes to the control of the Strait of Hormuz. I want you to stay with us. Let's actually take our viewers to that post that has been put out by the MP of Iran. This is Ibrahim Azizi, who says that Iran, within the framework of its national sovereignty and the guarantee of international trade security, has prepared a professional mechanism to manage traffic in the Strait of Hormuz. So here it is Iran which is saying that it is managing, it has a framework in place to manage traffic in the Strait of Hormuz, and along a designated route which will be unveiled soon. And in this process, only commercial vessels and parties cooperating with Iran will benefit of it. The necessary fees will be collected for the specialized services provided under this mechanism, and this route will remain close to the operators of the so-called this is another part of the message that he's put out. We will tell you more about it. So this is Iran once again talking about how it has a mechanism in place to control the traffic in the Strait of Hormuz. But the focus is going to be on what will Donald Trump do next. Reports are suggesting in the international media that there is another plan in place. And as per the media in America, there is an operation that is already in the works, and it only needs an approval from the President of the United States. After Operation Epic Fury, this operation could be called, if reports are to go by, could be called Operation Sledgehammer, and this could be bigger than the strikes that were launched in February on the 28th. I want our guest also to stay with us. There's more breaking news coming in. Focus now on Pakistan's role, because Pakistan's Interior Minister Mohsin Naqvi has also arrived in Tehran for a 2-day visit, and he's also held talks with his Iranian counterpart. So as per officials, this is a visit that is aimed at helping reduce tensions between the United States and Iran, and Mohsin Naqvi is expected to meet other senior Iranian leaders during this trip. Pakistan has not yet issued any official statement about the visit, but sources have confirmed that he is there, and there are going to be discussions which are going to be part of diplomatic efforts to ease the growing regional tensions. Going back once again to our guest who's joining us on this broadcast, because the focus is also on Pakistan's role. So, David, I want to understand from you, can Pakistan, what is US's expectations from Pakistan? What is the role that Pakistan can actually play? If there can be anything consequential that Pakistan can do when it comes to ensuring a peace deal between America and Iran?
Well, Pakistan is a curious party to be the intermediary here. When Oman was the intermediary through its foreign minister, Badar, you had clear, sophisticated diplomatic efforts underway. And I'm somewhat mystified by the significance of the Pakistani government to the Trump administration. It seems to me mostly a reflection of what an amateur operation Donald Trump runs in terms of diplomacy. But the status of this at the moment is quite clear. The next operation of the U.S. government, I think, could be better called Operation Flailing Around, trying to figure out what to do, because the Tehran regime has brought this to a stalemate. The U.S. does not have the allies willing to help to invade the country on land, and there is no example anywhere of where aerial warfare has brought down a government.
Right. So what role can Pakistan play? One of their ministers, once again, is in Tehran. U.S. on its part is mulling more strikes on Iran. There is going to be, they're waiting for a go-ahead from Donald Trump. Iran on its part is once again saying that we are in charge when it comes to Hormuz. We will decide the traffic management. Thank you so much, David Johnston, for joining us on this broadcast. Also thanking my colleague Mayank, who's breaking down the latest updates. Time now for us viewers to take a short commercial break. Stay with Times Now. We'll be back with more news and updates and breaking news that's coming up right after this break.